And hello, everybody. My name is Walter. I'm the Dutch mentor, and welcome to our SMART podcast, where S stands for self care, M for mindful growth, A for adaptive learning, R for rhythmic operation, T for, of course, thriving community, and P is for performance. On the end of the day, that's where we earn our meat and potatoes, so to speak. I'd like to welcome Paul to the podcast today. Paul recently attended a Tony Robbins seminar. And I said to myself, this is the perfect opportunity, especially Paul and I go back a few years now where we interacted with another organization working on ourselves, our personal brand, etc. But one of the things that I've observed, and that's really, deeply rooted in people's behavior, human behavior, is that we go out to conferences or webinars and we really enjoy it. We jump up and down. We get our values worth. And then by Monday morning the next week, have forgotten 95% of what we heard. The enthusiasm or the dopamine is worn off, and we don't take action. Paul promised me today, A, to tell the story, and B, he's going to give us a couple of action takeaways that you can start doing tonight or certainly by tomorrow morning. Put it on your calendar so you too can start building new habits of behavior. Paul, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll dive right into it.
All right. Well, first off, Walter, I appreciate you allowing me to come on the podcast and talk about this. Yeah, like you said, we go back a few years. We worked together on a mastermind and kept in touch. So I'm honored that you have me on your podcast. As far as me as an individual, I developed a business working with athletes on the mind. So a lot of high school and college athletes on the mind. So I've developed a curriculum on that. So I had this opportunity to go to Tony Robbins a few weeks ago, which I live in Southern California, and he was putting on the event probably about 15 to 20 minutes from me. So I thought this was a great opportunity for myself. And I was going into it with an open mind, number one. But number two is my focus in most stuff I do like this is business. So I was going into it with that mindset that, this will help me with my business somehow, some way, because a lot of these seminars do, if you put the action in, as you mentioned. I don't know how much your viewers are up to date with what Tony Robbins does, but I really didn't. I had an idea of what he was doing, but I had no idea until I was immersed into it. So it was Unleash Your Power Within, that seminar he does. He does several others, but that was the one I went to, and it's a 4-day event. And when I say 4-day event, it is a full 4 days. I mean, I'm talking you get there at 7 o'clock in the morning. The first night, I got there at 7 o'clock in the morning. It was on Thursday, and I didn't get out till 2 a.m. And it was nonstop. There was no breaks in between on that first day. But on that day it was kind of fun. We all walked in the parking lot and we walked on coals. And basically he prepared us for that, making us in our physiology. And the biggest thing about day one was if you can control your state and your physiology, you can handle pretty much any situation that comes your way, and which was great. And then we had the second day. Tony Robbins wasn't there because he doesn't do the second day, which I can understand, because this guy was talking for 10 hours straight. So he needed his voice ready. So we had some other speakers in there, and they were good, very good. Obviously, Tony Robbins has been doing it for 48 years, so there's a difference there, but they were good too. But the day three, that was a very intense day for me. We went through some meditations that were really, really powerful, and he was taking us through stuff that, he wanted us to go deep in our minds about, pain that we felt in any area of your life, and the baggage that we're carrying. And it was extremely intense because there's about 11,000 people. It was at the Honda Center where the Mighty Ducks play hockey at the NHL. So it can hold a lot of people, and there was about 11,000 people in that arena. And when we were getting to this part of this meditation, it was so intense that there was shouting and crying out loud of things that we're thinking about. It was just a very an intense moment. He took us through that intensity, and then throughout that, then he talked about, that's just a thought in your head, and that doesn't have to be your reality. You have the power to change your reality with a different thought, and that was kind of the power of that meditation. So when I got through that process, I realized that I I came in there thinking this was gonna help me with my business, but in reality, and most other masterminds, if you think about it, is more personal. But it was extremely personal to me at this one, because what I was needing help with had nothing to do with business at all. That my block was this. So basically, um, I grew up as an only child, and I consider myself both an extrovert and introvert. I'm both. I can be in a room with people, and I love people, and I feed off that energy. But I also feed off of being alone and having that alone time. And so with that, and I've had my parents, both my mom and my dad, both been married a few times. They were married to each other, and they got divorced, and they married other people. My mom's still married to the last person she married, and my dad passed away. But before he passed away, he actually separated from his wife. And so throughout my life, I've had relationships, I've intimate relationships, but I've never had a relationship. I've never got close to getting married, um, and everything like that. And I was thinking to myself about that quite a bit. And I was thinking that, for me, I want to explore that a little bit more, because I don't want it to be, being single, in the sense that, yes, I could get a girlfriend. I don't have a problem getting a girlfriend. That's not what I'm saying. My problem is there fear of me wanting to dive into a relationship? Is there am I scared of that? And that's what I got away from that Tony Robbins event, that I need to do some internal searching on what is there a fear? Number one, is there a fear of it, and what do I need to do to unblock that fear? Because yes, I mean, all throughout my life, I've been in situations, especially when I was young. I was in a relationship where where this woman wanted to get married, and I was 22, 23 years old, and I didn't at that time, and I made a decision not to do that. And I think back at that time, I'm happy that I made that decision, because I would have missed out on all the stuff in my life. And then I had some or other thought in my head, through the Tony Robbins event, not necessarily with that relationship, with other relationships, where have I missed out on other things because I haven't gone into a relationship at that level. And that's where I have I need to explore, and to your point about taking action, I hired a life coach to do some more deep diving, and I'm in the process of that process right now.
Excellent. So what you're talking about is Tony Robbins' process of priming. So in the self-care module of the SMART app, I dive and I encourage people to dive deeper into themselves as well. Right? Is that really to not only from a frame of mind of getting to a point of being able to instantly recall successes. So when there is doubt, you need to rely on the successes of your past. At the same token, is you need to put your past into perspective so you can formulate new experiences, and experience that lead to new actions, and actions lead to new results. But ever, and closer to the results that you desire. But yet, becoming vulnerable, and that's what you're talking about now, is to take a really good hard look under the hood and say, why am I making these decisions? So interesting enough, I've been divorced twice. One is on me, the other one is certainly a shared, although a little heavier on the other side. It is, being in a relationship now is like you wonder about that a little bit. And you wonder about, am I in a relationship because I want to be alone? So I have the opposite of what you probably experienced, that I love being in a relationship. I love family. I love those types of values. But am I doing it for the right reason because I want to be in a family or want to be with that particular person? And that's the thing that we need to think about all the time. So that's where meditation and priming, self-reflection, self-awareness comes into play. And that's why I find Tony Robbins to be such a powerful speaker on that particular topic, because he makes you feel vulnerable, right? He has this magical voice and assistance that he can bring 11,000 people to their knees and to reflect back on things that need to come out. The key is, too many people go to those events, and by Monday morning, they don't follow up. So they never get to the root. And there's no way that he can do that in that stadium with 11,000 people. So I'm very proud of you that you're taking that opportunity now and having hired somebody to be able to dig deeper into that particular, so you can finally come up with an answer that you feel satisfied. That does not mean you need to go out and get married, but at least you will have a better insight on the why behind it, right? So as you know, I'm an extrovert introvert as well. And it just, for me, getting to know oneself is really, really important. So life coach is one thing. What is something that you have adopted on a day-to-day basis, reflecting back on what he was talking about, that you are doing for yourself now, that is, that you're trying to make a habit or a behavior?
Smaller stuff, but big stuff. Small. I say small, but big. And I knew this before, but it's a great reminder. And like you said, the way he tells it, it's a very powerful voice. Is the sense in the morning to not reach for your phone. I'm in, like you. I'm in business. I have emails and stuff, and I want to get the ball rolling. I'm very anxious to start my day and answer any questions or get on some calls that I need to for my business. But I have, since the event, I give myself 30 minutes of silence where I'm just being, whether that be gratitude, which I do. But then you know what? I also give myself grace where I don't just, if I just want to just sit there and just be, I do that too.
Yeah.
I think that's fine. I think that's good. I do some gratitude, but most of the time I'm just sitting there, let my mind just kind of wander off and not judge it. And then after the 30 minutes, then I'll start to conduct regular business. But that was probably the biggest thing. I know it's small, but it's big.
So as a person who is a very early riser, 4:30, 5 o'clock, I wake up out of my REM sleep. So I try to practice that every day too. Now, when my mind goes into negative areas, I try to pull it back because, again, our brain chemistry is in a way that we are 2/3 negative, 1/3, positive. And if you want to stay in a positive frame of mind, you really need to exercise that and regulate that to some extent. So I encourage my clients too to start the day with words of gratitude or reflection, and that is really to help you whatever it is that you're working on. So visualizing is the next level of priming. That is that you start visualizing the successes that lie ahead of it. What does it take to be successful today, not tomorrow? And yes, technology is one of those things that stands in our way too often of building meaningful connections or having meaningful conversations. Of course, that's interesting. Both of us are on the computer right now, talking to each other using technology, which is, it's part of our lives. But I think the magic still takes place when you put this away and to really kind of practice. And one of the things that people who have a problem with is start looking at your screen and document for yourself how many hours did I spend on my telephone today. So my philosophy is that in just 15 minutes a day, you too can be the leader you always wanted to be, or the leader that your team needs to thrive under. Well, in 15 minutes a day, you can accomplish a lot. You can learn how to prime. You can learn how to visualize. You can learn and have meaningful conversations. You can, journal. You can work physical exercise. All of those things. Again, the problem comes in is that people are inherently horrible at building new habits and behaviors. So in sports, right, is repetition, getting better, and that growth mindset. So how do you put those two things together as a closing thought of our conversation today? That how can you, what advice would you give to an athlete? What advice would you give to somebody else on how to build sustainable habits and behaviors so they actually can get the outcomes that they seek, not just made another donation to Tony Robbins.
Well, that goes back to, long teachings, not necessarily Tony Robbins teachings, but
Yeah.
but basically with if you're going through the athletes, it's one is embrace failure, embrace it. Don't be afraid of it, because I feel that the athletes that are trying to be perfect and try to have everything are afraid of failure. Now, there's a difference between being afraid and not liking it. I get it. All of us don't like it. We don't like it, but we
Yep.
can't be afraid of it, when because if we're afraid of it, we won't go after it as hard as if we weren't afraid of it. So it's important that we embrace it, and if we can embrace it, a lot of times that pressure that we're putting on ourselves, or the athlete is putting on themselves, he or she, goes away a little bit more, because the understanding of, what, if I miss that last shot, or I miss that putt, or I walk in that run, or whatever sport they play, and know that there's another game tomorrow, they're going to be dangerous. Same
Yeah.
thing if you're in sales. If you're calling people, you're making your sales calls, and if you're not afraid of a no, then you're dangerous, because then you're going to keep going forward. And I tell these athletes, and they know it, when they fail, they're going to learn way more than when they succeed, and they'll be able to reflect way more. And a lot of times that failure that they feel is going to be that springboard that's going to help them with that success that they wouldn't have had if they didn't fail. So I would say is, don't be afraid of failure. And a lot of times, as I tell the athletes, we don't even look at failure as failure. Look at failure as data. You're just gathering data, and that data didn't work, but we're going to learn from that data. So we're going to use that information and do it over again and a little bit differently, because I have data showing that it'll work differently doing it that way.
Yeah, people dwell on things, and that's a worry about things. And my favorite quote, from Mark Twain is about 92% of the stuff that we worry about never comes true. I mean, that is so true, right? Failure is something that is part of our learning journey. I had a great experience. As you know, I'm a helicopter and a fixed wing pilot. I'm actually working on my commercial procedures. Right now, I was flying last week, and I did something really well. And then I was asked to do the next thing and the next thing. And I didn't set it up the way I normally would set it up. I rushed my way into it and made a debacle out of it. Now, my learning from that is much greater than if I would have executed and I did okay on it. Because now I know what I need to do, and I embrace that failure point, and I've spoken out loud about it multiple times and shared it with other people, because other people can learn from that. And I 100% agree. So we need to embrace that. We need to own that, and that creates opportunities for the future. Hey, Paul, where can people find you if they're interested in reading your book or reading more about you?
Probably the easiest way to do that is through my website, calltoaction.coach.
Excellent. Very good. Hey, always good to see you. Nice catching up with you. And maybe I will be, I'm inspired to go see Tony Robbins next time he's in New York City, and get some energy from him as well. It is, if for nothing else, he's a brilliant speaker and presenter, and I think we all can learn much from that as well.
Well, Walter, I appreciate the time, and it was nice kind of catching up with you. I've talked to you in a few months, so it was great getting to reconnect with you.
Absolutely. Let's do it again soon. Thank you, Paul.
No problem.